We are live on today. Today is Thursday, January 26th. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and I am excited. I have been teasing this all week, and I know there is a delay with it actually going on live. Um, there we go. So, my name is Kishen. I am your host. I am the content creator of Stories with Kishen, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Lives. In addition to that, um, I am disrupting HR, disrupting leadership, and disrupting you. And tonight is no exception. I am really, truly blessed and honored to be able to say that I have truly a gift waiting in the wings to share more about her movement, this movement that she's going to tell you how it all got started, but I am sure that you will not be disappointed. I do want to read a little bit about tonight's guest, Dr. Karen Moore. So just bear with me because there's so much. I don't want to miss anything. And like I said, you will not be disappointed. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Dr. Karen Moore developed a love for the arts at an early age. As a classically trained pianist, she used her gift to play for choirs and churches in the Philadelphia area. During her early adult years, Karen developed a love for poetry and musical theater. This ultimately led to combining her music, poetry, and songwriting into theatrical productions, performing on stage in Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, and Atlanta. Karen has written and produced for the theater such works as Song of Solomon, Poetry in Motion, a tribute to Black love and packing up, the Marion Williams Story in honor of the legendary gospel singer. She has written 85%, not 1%, not 10%, not even half, but 85% of the prose monologues for her productions, and along with her husband, Robin Williams Sr., has composed all of the original music. Karen's signature production, Poetic Blues, A Sister Story, premiered in 2012 and is a journey through the blues African American women face throughout our lives. She began to notice how her personal story of brown skin blues was resonating with her audience. The hurt and trauma of colorism is still running rampant. Karen was compelled to act on this discovery. In May of 2019, I Am the Color of Beautiful Global was established. I Am the Color of Beautiful Global is a movement designed to redefine the standard of beauty for Black women. In support of that mission, she has produced a short film, Who Told You You're Black is Not Beautiful? The tagline is Somebody Lied, and somebody did lie. It is a glimpse into the origin of colorism and how it has affected Black women in our lives, in our communities, and in our country. This project focuses on education, inspiration, and transformation. Education on the origins of colorism and hurt and trauma it is inflicted on the lives of Black women in their families, communities, and country. Inspiring women to open up and talk about their experiences and begin the healing process and lead to transformation so that women across the globe can walk away saying, I am the color of beautiful. I can go on. I don't want to delay this. I have been, like I said, talking all week about this. And without further ado, further delay, I am bringing to the broadcast Dr. Karen Moore.
How are you?
Hi, Dr. Karen. Thanks so much for joining Stories with Kishen. I am well. How are you today?
I am great. It's always amazing when you sit and hear someone else read your bio you're kind of like, I did that. Yeah, who is she talking about?
You, and not only that, I
Wow.
didn't even get into your certification in computer graphics and computer program, the technical pieces. So there's so much more to you than even I shared. So I truly am honored that you said yes to join me tonight.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking me.
You and I met about a year or so ago, and we've been connected on social media, and I've been following you and just seeing some of the things that you've done. And when I saw, even as recent as this week, with your upcoming February 1st through February 8th
Yes.
opportunity for people to connect and see your short film. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
So
Yes.
you happen to not be joining us live or you're watching the replay, there's an opportunity for you to watch this short film called Who Told You Your Black is Not Beautiful?
Mhm.
We're going to talk about colorism. So, and that's really the foundation for what this project is for you. So, what was it like for you growing up? Because I'm sure the trauma and the hurt stemmed from somewhere possibly there. So, what was life like for you growing up?
I can honestly say that I had a good childhood. I really did. I was blessed to have a mother and father who were very much about teaching us about ourselves and teaching us about who we are and who we could become. But though when I was in the fourth grade is when I had my first experience with colorism, the fourth grade, if you can imagine that. And
Yeah.
I wanted to have lunch with this really cute boy, Johnny. And I went to him and I said, "Can I have lunch with you?" And he said to me, "No, you're too dark." And fourth grade, you're what, 9 years old? And so I'm thinking, what does
Yeah.
that, okay, what does that have? I had no concept, of course, of colorism or what it meant to be too dark. I never experienced that within my home. And
Mm.
so I didn't understand it. So, when I went home and I was rejected and disappointed. And so my dad said to me, asked me what was going on. And I told him, I said, Johnny said I was too dark. And I was blessed to have an amazing father who reassured me that I was beautiful and that, Johnny was missing out. But even as I grew up, I really began to see what that idea of being dark really meant in different spaces, and the fact that, you know, there were times when I know I was not chosen
Mm.
because of the shade of my skin. I'm not even going to talk about the color of my skin, but the shade of my skin. Because
Mhm.
colorism is the prejudice or discriminatory practice of favoring light skin over darker skin. So I know there
Mhm.
were times when I was treated differently and times when I was overlooked or rejected because of the shade of my skin. I mean, we can
Mm.
even talk about, we can talk about racism, but colorism is about the shade of your skin.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're four, because and I've experienced it. I've been told by, family members, I won't say members, but a family member in particular, you're black. And I'm like, we got the same, we're connected.
Right.
We're the same family. So well,
Yes.
it was
It happens.
funny. I mean, as a child, sometimes you say things to get back at other people, but
Yeah.
it still makes you question. And like you mentioned, rejection.
Yes.
So you're in fourth grade, and your dad, what were some of the things that your dad says? Because sometimes, that it's nothing like a father daughter love.
Yes.
But what did he say that reaffirmed you and reassured you that you were going to make it?
Well, he told me that I was beautiful.
Yeah.
And he told me, my dad let me know that there were going to be people in the world who were not going to say nice things.
Mm.
that you cannot dwell or take to heart those mean things that people say, because people are going to say mean things.
Yeah.
And it's important that he stressed upon me to know who I am and to understand who I am. And so that was good for me at 9 years old and in the fourth grade. But nonetheless, that hurt and trauma still followed me. It was wonderful to be reassured in that moment. But then, as you know, you start getting into your teenage years and how, and I don't want to really say girls in particular, but when you start getting into your teenage years and you start looking at boys, and you hope boys are looking at you or whatever, but you begin to see that you're treated differently,
Yeah.
and that the popular girls are not the girls that look like me. They were,
Mm.
the popular girls were lighter skinned girls, and you know we don't even need to get into the whole hair thing, because if your hair is, and all our hair is good hair. All of our
Mm.
hair is good hair. But you go through these different struggles when, you're darker and your hair is coarser and all of these different things happen. Because my dad really didn't want my mom straightening our hair.
Really?
No, he did not. My
Oh.
dad did not want my mom straightening our hair. My dad was kind of like a power to the people kind of guy, He really was. He really was. And so he did not want my mom straightening our hair. But we
Oh,
begged and we begged and we begged because we wanted to have straighter hair,
right.
because
So,
they make us more beautiful.
so did eventually you straighten your hair for a period of time?
Yes.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
I think at the time I felt it made me feel more beautiful to have
Mm.
straight hair, because I was again trying to be accepted, and I wasn't really thinking about how beautiful I was with my natural hair. And that's one of the things that I really
Yeah.
believe now, that Black women are starting to embrace our natural hair and understanding the beauty of not only our skin, but our natural hair. But at the time, I think that it was important to me to have my hair straightened so that I could be more beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was in fifth grade, I think,
Mm.
and I wanted a Jerry curl. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want a Jerry curl. And I got one, and it did boost my confidence for a period. Um, but as I got older, and even when I did the big chop, there's a story behind it I'll share a little bit later, which was mind blowing when I share it with uh, different audiences. So from fourth grade to high school and then beyond, what gave you the desire to want to move forward with this movement, and even the theater, the creative arts? Where did that come from? Because a lot of people do write down their trauma, their pain, and it comes out in song or poetry. So how did that all come about?
I really always loved to write. I always loved creative writing. And I started doing poetry. And it was interesting because a friend of mine said to me that, you should think about doing theater. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. And I heard Nina Simone's song, For Women. And I heard this song and I was thinking, that would be awesome. That would be an awesome production to be on stage. So Nina Simone's song, For Women, actually kind of inspired Poetic Blues, A Sister Story, because I decided to write for women and about the blues that women deal with, and how we overcome it. And if you've never heard Nina Simone's For Women, you've got to hear it. It is an amazing song about four women and how they had this, they each have a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote Poetic Blues, a sister story. And it was interesting because I wrote Brown Skin Blues, and hearing how women identified with brown skin blues, so many women would come to me after we would have talkback sessions, and some women would say something at the talkback sessions, but a lot of them would come to me afterwards and just say that touched me so much. And I never really realized that anyone else was feeling the same way about their skin color.
Mm.
And the other thing that was very interesting about this, I did brown skin blues, and my sister, who is light skinned, my biological sister, who's light skinned, said to me, uh, she said to me, light skinned girls have blues too. And I was like, well, since when?
Right. I'm like, really?
You have some blues. But she let me know. She was very clear with me about the repercussions many times that light skinned women face. And when she did a piece for the production, hers is too dark to be white, too light to be black. And she talks about how, as a light skinned woman, many times not accepted, you're not black, or you're not black enough. So we got a lot of stuff going on that, really needs to be addressed within our community.
That, you know what? And for her to share that perspective and for you to share it, I think sometimes, and I'll speak for myself because my biological sister is lighter skinned. And I similarly would think, I'm like, you don't have the same issues that I have. I haven't talked to her about those issues, but it's worth even having that conversation, and even considering, even if the conversation isn't there, there's still issues and challenges that we face as women of color.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about colorism and, how you got started with this whole movement with the color of beautiful global, this movement. How did that come about, and where are you in this movement continuing to move forward?
It came about in 2019, and I was encouraged to start an initiative on colorism. And I decided that I kind of started with an initiative, but I felt like it needed to be more of a movement, that it needed to be something that people would really grab a hold to and begin to create this movement of loving ourselves and loving our skin, and particularly deeply melanated women. We like to say deeply melanated because sometimes dark skin has such a negative connotation. So we say deeply melanated. So for this idea for deeply melanated women of color to begin to realize their beauty, and that they can stand in their beauty, and I can provide spaces for them to be able to come and talk about some of the issues that they've had and some of the different experiences they have, because many of our experiences aren't all the same. I was fortunate that I never had an issue within my family, but some people have. Some people have really had deep-seated issues within the family. For some of us, it's been outside of the family where we experience this idea that we're not beautiful, that our color is not beautiful, so that we can come together and all have these experiences, these shared experiences, and encourage one another and support one another, so that we can get beyond the hurt and trauma that continues in many instances to be passed down from generation to generation. And so we've got to, I always say that, we have to get to a place where we stop bleeding on ourselves, bleeding on each other, and bleeding on our children. We've got to get beyond that. And we've got to have these places where we can talk and share and be able to encourage each other and inspire each other. And whether it be through writing, because yes, I believe that writing is very, very, very healing. So whether it be through writing or just having a conversation with someone, we can really get to that place where we really start to heal.
And the timing of 2019, right before the world shut down, so to speak.
Yes.
And all of the issues that were happening, the murders, police and all that other kind of stuff that was happening to, as you say, heavily melanated, deeply melanated individuals. Yes. What impact do you think the media has on you really moving forward with this movement, and the tie that it has on self-care, just taking care of ourselves in the mental space with this movement? What's the correlation?
Well, I think that, well, for one thing, I think, let me say this, colorism shows up in many different spaces. Mm-hmm. I Am the Color of Beautiful, we specifically talk about it in regard to beauty and women. But it shows up in the educational space. It shows up in the judicial system. It shows up in the workplace. It shows up in a number of different places because it's both intraracial as well as interracial. So intraracial colorism is when it happens within the same group. So it's when we as Black women, have these issues with one another based on skin tone. That's the intraracial. The interracial is when people are looking at us from outside of our community and deciding certain things about us, again, based on the shade of our skin. And one of the things that has been shown to be true is that the judicial system looks at us as dark and lighter skin, and many times feels more threatened or more challenged by those who are darker skinned. There are studies that show that darker skinned girls are more likely to be suspended from school than lighter skinned girls. Mm-hmm. Darker skinned men and women get heavier sentences in the court system than those who are lighter skinned. In the workplace, they say that a company will probably be more in tune to hire a light-skinned man with a bachelor's degree than a deeply melanated man with a master's degree. Mm-hmm. So we're experiencing this not only within our community, but also outside of our community. And the media has really tapped into that. And if you even notice, one of the things that I started noticing on television even is that a lot of the times when you're watching some of these shows, that the criminals tend to be darker skinned men, are always the ones in jail and the criminals. A lot of times you'll notice also that the darker skinned women are usually the prostitutes or the crackheads. I'm not saying all the time, but if you notice it, a significant majority of the time. Mm-hmm. And so when we start talking about the media being television and even print media and some of the things that go on, we're allowing Hollywood and the print media to dictate to us what beauty is for us. And we've got to decide that we're not going to accept that anymore. We've heard Viola Davis talk about it many times, that Hollywood has a colorism problem. And so, because she said, why can't I be the love interest? Why do I have to always be these other women, the maid or the whatever else it is? Why can't I be the love interest? Why can't I be the romantic? So we're looking at all of this. And so we've got to begin to see that Hollywood is still trying to dictate to us what beauty is for us. And we've got to begin to reject that.
So 2 points to share. You talk about the workplace, and there was this situation that sort of talks about or ties back into what you were talking about, your hair being straightened. So this is when something was like, Kishen, how did God create you? What does your hair really look like? And so I decided to do the big chop, cut it off to see how God designed my hair. And I remember, it's crazy to even think about it. I was at the place where I was working at the time. I was at the coffee area, and I was standing there. There was another guy there, and then I'll just say, for all intents and purposes, the president of the organization comes over to me, and he had just ended his regular 7:30 meeting in the morning, and he would drink espresso, this little teacup with this little espresso tea cup. He comes to me and he said, "Kishen, would you like some espresso?" Now, I'm not a coffee drinker. Anything, the smell of coffee, I'm like, ugh, just can't do it. And so I said, no, no, thank you. And without missing a beat, he said, "It'll straighten your hair." I was like, excuse me? He said, "It'll straighten your hair." He came right back with it and said, "It'll straighten your hair." Now, I'm not going to say anything about his ethnicity, but you read between the lines. And I said, "No, I like my hair just the way it is."
Good for you.
So this guy, this other guy of the same persuasion as the one who said that, was standing looking, was like, and then the guy walks away and he said, "That a-hole, he is such an a-hole." And I said, "I like my hair the way that it is." And I never forgot that. And I was thinking, it's comical to think that somebody's ignorance was just at that level that you felt okay with it. And the other point that I wanted to make is the self-care as we, as women of color in particular, tying into this film that you created. Let's talk, you're the producer, right?
Yes,
Of
the
the film.
producer, the editor, the filmer, the everything.
Well, tell us about it. About how long is it? And you mentioned that we can watch this. So how did this all come about? Well, from my perspective, I'd like to know, well, how long did this take? How did you get people involved? What were the stories? What can I expect? So all of that. What can I expect? How did this come about?
So, well, actually, my sister is the producer. I have an amazing sister who just, she supports everything I do. Uh, I sometimes say she gets voluntold. But she is amazing. She supports everything I do. So she is the producer. And it came about when I was asked to do a panel discussion on colorism for African American women in cinema and the absolutely phenomenal Tara Renee. And so she said to me, "I want you to do a panel on colorism." And she said, "Do you know a short film on colorism?" And she said, "If you don't, you can make one." So I said, "Okay, well, I'll make one." So it was a lot more challenging than I thought it would be,
Mm-hmm.
but I stepped up to the challenge, and I have 5 amazing women in the film who talk about their experience with colorism. One of them is Dr. Kathy Barton Brown, who's another phenomenal woman who also, she is a psychotherapist, and she talks about the mental health part of colorism and how it affects women of color or Black women. The film specifically deals with Black women. My sister is also the public health advisor for I'm the Color Beautiful, because colorism is a mental health and public health issue. So we came together to do this film. I have amazing women who came and were very transparent and open and willing to tell their stories and their experiences with colorism. And then I kind of give a history, a little history of colorism, how it came about in slavery. Because it once again was something that was meant to divide us and keep us from, being able to come together, because we have to see each other differently and not appreciate what each other has. So, continue something that continues to tear us apart so that we can't unify and really come together and do the things that are necessary for us to do as Black people. I'm just going to say that. we filmed, we did the film. We filmed part of it out by the Patriots of African Descent Memorial in Valley Forge Park here in Pennsylvania. And it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And I did all the editing of the film, and my husband did the music and put it all together in 35 minutes.
Was this more original music?
Yes, all original music.
Okay.
Yes, and well, almost all of it's original music. There's a couple little clips that I got from a royalty-free site, but most of it is his music or my music. So we put it all together and did the editing and had the opportunity to be part of the Women of African Descent Film Festival. It went there, and we were part of the Northeast Filmmakers Lab, which was an amazing experience to have the opportunity to be in a lab with other filmmakers and to find out the things that we can do to begin to promote the film. And so we're doing a screening for Black History Month. This is our Black History event. The film will be available to be screened from February 1st to 12 p.m. to February 8th at 6 p.m. And then we are doing a live Q&A with me on February 8th at 7 p.m. And the 8th of every month is Colorism Awareness Day. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know it. Someone told me not too long ago that the 8th of every month is Colorism Awareness Day. So for Black History Month and February 8th, we are doing a Q&A about the film, the making of the film, and a discussion on colorism. So I hope you all will join us.
Well, so how do people find out about, is there a Facebook page or a website where they can learn more about the actual film?
There is. Now, I'm going to give you the website. So it's bit.ly/Who Told You Film. Hope I said that right. Because the link is very, very long, so I had to do it, shorten it. bit.ly Who Told You Film. Let me check that and be sure that's right.
Okay.
/Who Told You This Film. That's it. bit.ly Who Told You Film. bit.ly/Who Told You Film.
Okay. So that's where people can register?
Yes, that's when you can purchase your tickets and view the film and then join us on the 8th. Once you purchase your ticket, you'll get an email that will send you the link for the virtual Q&A.
Okay. I'm putting it up here now.
That is our Black History Month event for The Color of Beautiful. And you can find it also, other information on us, always at thecolorofbeautiful.black. Color is spelled COLOUR. .black. And we are The Color of Beautiful on all of social media, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Okay, I want to make sure. Register at. So now people can, if they missed this, they can check it out there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just, I don't know if it's the beginning. What's next for this whole global movement after this project is done? Do you have any things coming down the pike that you're currently working on for next time, or are you in the moment with this project?
What we're doing now is we are reaching out to colleges and organizations to do screenings and Q&A sessions with colleges and organizations. That is, that's our primary goal right now with the film. to be able to bring this into colleges and organizations and have these talk sessions. We're doing them virtually or in person, being willing to have the opportunity to provide safe space for young women and other women to be able to talk about colorism and their experience. So that's what we're doing with the film. April the 8th is International I Am the Color of Beautiful Day. We're going to be doing that in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be a full day of events to celebrate women of all shades. International I Am the Color of Beautiful Day, April 8th in Atlanta, Georgia. And we'll also be launching April 8th, we'll be launching our Melanin Poppin Beauties community. It's a paid community where you can come in and be a part of just coming together again and providing that space to talk about colorism. I'll be releasing some information within the group and having live sessions within the group for women to come in and just be able to share and have a community where they can connect and be able to encourage one another and support one another on this journey to overcoming this hurt and stress of colorism. So that's coming up in April. And I think that's it for right now. That's what we're doing. We're always open to if anyone wants to screen the film for their organization or for their college, please get in touch with us. We are info@thecolorofbeautiful.black and just ready to provide services to combat colorism and understand that it takes conversation, it takes dialogue, it takes being willing to connect with one another and be a part of the solution.
You know what? I bet that was so important. Everything.
And the other thing I'll say too is we've got to watch our language when it comes to name calling and saying certain things. We've got to be mindful of the language that we use. Many times we think we're saying things in jest or that it's just a joke or whatever, but it can be harmful, it can be hurtful, it can be traumatizing. And we don't realize that people carry these things that we say. And I say to people all the time, even if it's, grandma, we have to say, with all due respect, grandma, we don't talk like that anymore. We don't call each other blackie and darky and red bone and light bright, darn near white and all that stuff. We need to stop saying those things because it's hurtful. And we've got to be mindful of being able to change our language when it comes to colorism and understand that that is the language of colorism. And we really have to begin to address it within our families and even with our friends. And just like the saying, if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. Be willing to speak up and tell people, we don't talk like that. We don't joke like that. We're not going to be a part of that. So I hope that's helpful to those of you who are watching, that you will begin to even listen to and understand your own language and what you're saying, especially to children. Especially to children. What are you saying to children? They carry it for the rest of their lives. And we need to begin to understand that and to be more, we need to be more careful with our words and understand what comes behind our words, even if it's not associated with color. Some of the things we say that we fat shame and we all this other shaming that we do. And you could be scarring someone for the rest of their lives. And we need to understand that. I think Kishen's coming back. So I hope you all will join me for this virtual screening that's coming up. It starts February 1st at 12 p.m. You can start screening the film. You can go and purchase your tickets now. Do it today so you don't forget. Do it today. You can purchase tickets today, and then you can begin screening February 1st at 12 p.m.
Am I back finally?
You're back. You're back.
I am so glad that you continued sharing information. And my internet, it just does not want to be Kishen friendly right now.
It's okay.
But it's all good. It gave you the opportunity to share more, and I love it. What final words would you like to share with somebody who, maybe they don't know what this is all about, or maybe they've had something so traumatic happen to them? What words of wisdom would you give somebody? And I know you said to get to learn and just be mindful of your words, but if you could leave the listeners, the viewers, with one thing, one just thought, what would that be?
I would say decide for yourself who you are. Decide for yourself that you are beautiful. Every day you get up and look in the mirror, say, "Good morning, beautiful." And continue to speak that way for yourself, because we have to understand that it's something that I was in a challenge this earlier this week. And one of the things Dr. Darius Daniels talked about was how thoughts turn into feelings, and feelings turn into behaviors, and behaviors turn into outcomes. I hope I quoted that correctly. But the bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is that your thoughts, you've got to arrest those thoughts. And whatever anyone told you, you have to begin to say that it's not true. And you have to begin to tell yourself it's not true, so that doesn't get into your feelings and it become very much a part of who you are. And even if it's been a part of who you are for decades, you can turn it around. You really can turn it around. And at The Color of Beautiful, we're here to help you if we can. And if we can't, I would definitely say talk to someone and get help. And if it's really deep-seated, you may need counseling or therapy, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing at all wrong with that. But make sure that you are getting beyond the hurt. That's the most important thing. And telling yourself that you are beautiful. You are the color of beautiful. We say it here. We say it loud. We wear it proud. I am the color of beautiful.
That was perfect, because that is exactly what was the final quote that I was going to share. So you've already done that.
Yes.
Dr. Karen, I want to thank you so much for sharing all that you've shared, and even introducing to some people this movement and the opportunity to get connected by your film. And I'm going to share it real quick for those of you who may have missed it. Purchase your ticket, get connected. There's going to be a Q&A on February 8th that you can participate in virtually. Yes. Without even being there. But even more importantly, you have from February 1st to February 8th to even watch this short film of some amazing women who have stories to share.
Yes.
So again, thank you, Dr. Karen. Thank you all who have listened, even on the replay. Share this with somebody. Tell somebody about it. Because I know that there will be people who will watch and they may reach out to you. So hopefully they'll get a chance to get connected on this virtual event. So again, yes. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you all for listening. And remember tune in to Stories with Kishen. You can go to Facebook and check out Stories with Kishen, like the Facebook page. In addition to that, there's also a YouTube page. There you can listen to this because I'm going to upload it to YouTube. So you can listen to it over and over and over and over again because I know Dr. Karen has left some nuggets. So again, my name is Kishen. I am your human resource. I help people see the possibilities in what they think is impossible. I am disrupting HR, disrupting leadership, and disrupting you. Be blessed.
Awesome. Thank you.